If you can see my grey hairs. No, you can't. So I'm not gonna lie, it's like early February when I'm filming this. This is 100% going to go up like mid-February, and there's a high possibility that no one actually cares to hear about my January wrap-up in the middle of February. But am I still going to do it? Yes, of course I am, because it's a new year. It's a new me. I might actually end up doing wrap-ups this year. Semi-regularly? We'll see. Apologies in advance if my lighting is really stupid. I don't have an excuse, it just is. Oops. Woohoo! So to kick off January, I finished reading Emma by Jane Austen. I had started it sometime mid-December? Maybe early December? I don't really know. I was listening to the audiobook for it whenever I was working, so I didn't actually end up finishing it until a little bit after December because I took a break from my little candle business, so I had no reason to listen to an audiobook. Whoops. If you don't know anything about Emma by Jane Austen, do I even know how to describe it? I don't think I do. There's a girl, she's called Emma. She likes to nosy into people's relationships. I don't really know. It's like a Regency drama. It's good. It's good. It was fun. I liked it. It was enjoyable. I found through reading Austen these past couple months, because, fun fact, I had to read Jane Austen for a module I was doing, and I'd never read Austen before, so it was a real event for me, and I actually found out I really liked Jane Austen, which I never expected. Do I feel like a basic English lit major? Of course I do, but we'll ignore that right now. I find that Emma was just like a really fun book to just like listen to and kind of like zone out, if you get me. It was very classic Austen in the sense of once you start it, you're just kind of propelled into this fun little world and you get to experience it and you don't really have to use your brain too much because it's just enjoyable and fun. I think I ended up giving Emma a 3/4 star rating, not too sure. I preferred Sense and Sensibility, but I enjoyed Emma and I thought it was fun. And if you like classics, maybe you might like it. I also really want to watch the reboot of Emma, which has Anya Taylor-Joy in it because I fancy her. So I might end up watching that at some point. I want to. Is it just to see Anya Taylor-Joy's face? Yes, but we'll move aside from that. At the start of January, I actually ended up watching a series called Alice in Borderlands on Netflix. Why am I talking about a TV series? Well, it's because it was based off of a book, and because of this, I decided to start reading it. Alice in Borderland was based off of a manga series by an author I don't remember the name of. This is their name. I probably couldn't say it. Alice in Borderland, to cut a long story short, is essentially about a group of friends who live in Tokyo and essentially just like wake up one day and the population do be gone. Essentially. And not only does the population be gone, their entire world is essentially turned into a really insane game. And I do mean a game. They end up in a bunch of situations where they have to basically use like their brains and do like puzzles and everything to end up getting more days on their visa. It's a whole thing. It's kind of hard to like condense and explain, but kind of think of like escape rooms mixed with, if you've ever seen the film Exam, kind of like that. Kind of a bit like Jigsaw, you know our man's Jigsaw who tortures people. Yeah, it's a bit like that because if you fail the game, you die. So you can imagine I loved it. I loved the series. It was amazing. If you have like 8 hours to spare, watch it. It's like 8 episodes, all of them are like an hour long. Maybe it's 10 episodes. I think it's 8. So good, highly recommend it. I watched it in 2 sittings, and by 2 sittings I mean I watched the first episode one day, and then about 3 days later I watched 7 episodes in a row. I tend to do that a lot. I do it with K-dramas and I do it with anime, but we're not going to talk about that because that's not what this is about. Because I finished watching Alice in Borderland and I loved it so much, I decided that I would give the manga a go. I couldn't actually find a physical edition of it anywhere, so I ended up finding it online and I started reading it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know how I feel about it. I don't know. It might not be for me. The thing is, I read the first volume and only the first volume because I kind of find from the offset we weren't really vibing. I don't think it's gonna work out between us. I think there's something amiss. My issue was with the manga, it kind of just threw you in immediately. And a lot of the time that's really good in manga. You don't really need tons of world building, but for Alice in Borderland, I kind of wanted a bit more. I kind of wanted to know a wee bit what was going on. That would have been nice, you know? I don't really know. I don't know how to describe my feelings towards it. I was really excited to read it, and maybe that was my issue because I kind of built it up in my head to be like amazing, and like it was alright. It's definitely not something that I would recommend you blacklist. Like, it's probably amazing the further on you get, but after I finished that first volume, I couldn't really make myself read anymore just because I wasn't like super enjoying it. I really liked parts of it, and there was one character who I fancied so much. Do you remember his name? No! Wait, yes I do. No, I don't, but I fancied him. I really wanted to like the series, and I might give it a go later on in the year. I might like give it a second chance and kind of like try to dig into it more, see if it was just the first volume and it gets better after that. But yeah, it was like a 2.5, 3 star for me. It wasn't bad in any way. It just, we didn't mesh, you know? You feel me? The next book that I read in January was The Girl in the Window by Penny Jolson, and I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted on my thoughts. I didn't realise going into it that it was a YA. Well, I say that, I thought it was a YA, but when I thought it was a YA, I thought it was like young adult, not young adult. And what I mean by that is the reading age was a lot lower than I thought, and because of it, everything was very simplistic, to kind of put it in a nicer way. A lot of it I felt wasn't as fleshed out as it could have been. However, putting that aside, something I did love was the protagonist actually had ME, which is essentially like chronic fatigue syndrome. ME is the acronym for the big name, which is this. Our main character, Kazuya, is 14 and she suffers with chronic fatigue syndrome after getting a really bad bout of tonsillitis, which essentially just rickety wrecked her body. I really enjoyed certain aspects of this book. Kazuya had to deal with a lot, as you can imagine, to do with her fatigue, and she had some mobility issues because of it. And reading it, I really identified with that, and I really enjoyed it because it resonated with me. I have mobility issues, I have fatigue issues, and it was just nice to see a character that kind of reminded me of myself, and that was enjoyable. However, the rest of it was a bit questionable. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I don't want to give out spoilers, but it was a bit disability rap, loved. The rest of it, a bit underbaked, a bit, as Mary Berry would say, a bit of a soggy button on that cake. So I think I gave it 3 stars. Something like that. Not bad, not mind-blowing, just alright. A good book if it's what you're looking for. The next thing I read in January changed my itty bitty life. I read Paper Girls. So my friend Amy was an absolute icon and she got me the first 2 volumes of Paper Girls for my 21st birthday. And I was like, iconic, amazing, I really want to read these. But I did the thing that I always do, which is, oh, I want to read something. I'm not going to look into it at all. Like, at all. Like, I knew nothing about Paper Girls. I just picked it up one night, one cold and dreary night in January, and I started reading it. And then I immediately started reading the second one. And then I immediately finished it and I in my bed and ordered the next ones off of Amazon, sorry, and kind of cried because I loved it So much. So much. I actually ended up reading the entire series of girl, the whole series. I ended up reading all 6 of them in the space of a few days. And I regret nothing. It was amazing. I loved it. It was iconic. It's solidly like a 5-star. Like the whole series, 4 to 5 star. Loved it. It was so good. I cannot even describe my love for Paper Girls without spoiling things. But I loved it so much. And all you need to know, if you've been sitting and you're like, should I read Paper Girls? I don't really know. All you need to know is, I got my girlfriend to sit down and start reading Paper Girls. She picked up volume 1. Girl, 2 hours later she had read them all. This woman barely reads. Boom. All the books. It is such a highly addictive series, and it's just so good. Basically, Paper Girls follows our 4 protagonists who are all 12 and they're paper delivery girls. You wonder why I'm doing that voice? Because I didn't know that. I saw the title was Paper Girls and I was like, oh cute! Paper Girl. Someone please tell me why I'm mentally clapped. Please. How did I not realise that that's what Paper Girls would have been about? Paper delivery girls? Dumb. But if you've been like sitting and wondering if you should read Paper Girls, yes. The answer is yes. They are so good. I'm kind of debating whether or not I want to do like a little video dedicated to Paper Girls and my experience, not only reading them but the thoughts that I have, because let me tell you, I have thoughts. Many of them. I can't really explain them right now, but I have many thoughts and I would like to talk about them, so if you want to see that, tell me. I guess if you don't want to see it, I don't blame you, because it's just going to be me like screaming for about 20 minutes, so maybe not. Maybe that's a no. The next book that I read in January was The Girl in 6E by A.R. Torrey? Torrey? I don't know. So, someone please tell me why I read this book. Like, why? I saw Lily Savory's, like, 2 years ago make a video about this book, and she was like, this is awful, and I don't know why, but my brain went, amazing, I'm gonna read it. If you've ever wondered why I am the way I am, trust me, I wondered as well. So I decided to read The Girl in 6E, knowing that I probably wouldn't enjoy it. Is that a bit masochistic? Maybe it is. We're not gonna talk about it. If you don't know anything about The Girl in 6E, I don't blame you. You don't really need to know anything about it. But just in case you're curious, it is about a girl who, she is a cammer, so she... Think OnlyFans, but prior to OnlyFans, you know, the cam girl days. And, she's, like, locked away in her apartment. She doesn't talk to anyone, she doesn't see anyone. She's been locked away in her apartment and hasn't left it for about 4 years because she fantasizes about killing people. I mean, mood. So whenever I read this, I was like, ooh, that sounds cool. That sounds like something I would like. I didn't. The blurb literally spoils, like, the entirety of this book. Like, the entirety of this book. Which I didn't realise going into it, because I had already watched Lily's video about it, so I already knew what happened in it, kind of, vaguely. It was like 2 years ago that I watched it, so bear that in mind. I had like a foggy memory of it. So I didn't even read the blurb, but when I went and read the blurb after, I was like, bruh. That just like spoiled it. What? I really did not enjoy this book, but I didn't enjoy it in the way that it was enjoyable. I don't know if anyone else ever gets that vibe where they're like, I hate this, but it's so funny to hate it. I think I give it like a 1/2 stars to be nice. I think it was like a 1.5 to be entirely honest. It was just so bad that it was laughable for me. It wasn't for me. Someone else would probably read this and love it. I've seen tons of really positive reviews on Goodreads for it, but for me girl, just some things in it, I was like, this is so unrealistic that I can't look past it. I literally thought this book was so stupid to the point that I actually started writing in it. I don't write in my books unless they're for uni, but this one, girl, I just had to. Like, some things that happened in it, I needed to discuss them so badly that I ended up just talking to myself about it. Whoops. It was also at the time of reading The Girl in 6E that I actually started doing this. I don't know if you can actually see it, but this is my mini review slip. So I decided to make this for myself to kind of like gather my thoughts on books that I just finished reading. And it just has on it like what the title of the book is, what date I read it, my rating. I did give it 2 stars. That's very nice of me. I think it was because I found it funny. You can't even see any of this, but I promise it says these things. And then there's just a notes section where I kind of like quickly gather my thoughts. I thought this would be a fun way to kind of just like gather my thoughts immediately after reading a book. And instead of like collecting them all and like putting them into like a binder or something, I just pop them inside the book and close it up. And that means anytime I pick it up, I will have my little review in it and I can have a little giggle about that. So yeah, I think that I'm going to try to do that for the rest of the books that I read this year. Maybe not for my university ones, but definitely for anything that I just read for me, because then it'll be a lot easier when the time comes around that I'm posting photos and my little mini reviews that I do on Bookstagram. So I kind of wanted to mention that because I thought it was cute, you know? I thought it was fun. The final of the 11 books that I read in January was Dear Laura by Gemma Amor? Armour? It's not Armour, that's not how you say Armour, I'm so dyslexic. By Gemma Amor. So this is a novella, I believe. I don't think it's long enough to be a book, so I'm pretty sure it's a novella. I don't know where I heard of this. Like, I really have no clue. I think about 2 years ago. You'll find out a lot of the things that I read and like 2 years late on. I don't even have an excuse. I'm really late to the party anytime there is a party. Like, it's done. Like, people have cleaned up. It's 2 days later and people aren't even hungover anymore. Like, the party is done and I arrive. Like, that's what I'm like when it comes to reading. But I think I saw this on Bookstagram. Don't hold me to it, no idea. But it's been on my TBR for yonks. Like, it's been there for a solid like year at least. Just because I thought it sounded really cool. It is essentially the story of this girl whose best friend slash at the time boyfriend goes missing when she's like 13, and it's about her life after that and the influence that the person who was last seen with her friend alive has on her life. And I really liked it. Like, I really liked it. It's only like 100. Yeah, it's like 115 pages, and I just thought it was such a fun and interesting and engaging read. Like, it's dark, it's twisty, and I just really enjoyed it. I also have one of my little mini reviews in here, which can tell me my thoughts on it, but I ended up giving it 4 stars. I ended up reading it in one sitting, and I just really liked it. If you want to read something short that's fun and a bit twisty and dark, I would recommend reading Dear Laura. Major trigger warning for like anything and everything in it, but I really enjoyed it and I thought it was really good. And the ending had me like, yes, yeah, like, nice. Also, big trigger warning if teeth traumatize you in any way, because that was the thing that happened. I'm not going to delve into it more, but that was the thing that happened and I was a wee bit traumatized. But we're not going to talk about it. I'm going to put that aside. So those were the 11 books that I read in January. I'm actually surprised at myself that I read so much, but at the same time I'm not surprised because I read Paper Girls, which is a comic book series. So reading a lot of it, not that big of a deal. I'm going through like such an imposter syndrome right now. I'm like, oh my god, but the books I read were short, so like they don't really count as like reading 11 books in a month. Like, no, stop it. Stop it. Congratulate yourself for something. I'm happy. I read a lot of books and I really enjoyed the majority of them. And even in the case of like The Girl in 60, which was one I didn't enjoy, I really enjoyed my time being spent writing in it and having a laugh. It was a good time. It was enjoyable. And that is basically everything. I really hope that I keep up on making my wrap-ups. I really want to make a wrap-up each month this year. Is it gonna happen? Probably not, because it's me, but I'm really gonna try to. And I have a lot of fun things planned? Question mark? Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that is everything. If you've read any of these books, please tell me your thoughts below. If you have any recommendations of books for me to read, also leave your thoughts below. Even though, if you can see my bookcases, I guess you can imagine that I have a lot of unread books. But does that mean I'm not going to buy any more books to sit on my shelf for 2 years? No, I will happily buy more. So please tell me more books that I should read. I believe this is the point where I'm like, oh my god, like my video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, #engagement. You don't have to. Do what you want. Have a lovely day. It was fun talking to you. And hopefully I'll make another video. Not in 2 months' time. We'll see. Peace.